right, Kat. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. I guess just for those who don't know your story and kind of what you're up to, can you let me know where you're playing and what kind of injuries you were dealing with when we first started working together?
Yeah, so I played Division 1 at Jacksonville State for 4 years. Just finished up last year, and then immediately went into my first pro season overseas in Austria for 3 months. Came home for like a week or two, and then played my second pro season in Curacao for about a month. Um, and then now I'm currently playing in Italy for the next 6 months. I've been here for about 3 weeks now. And I've always had, for as long as I remember, lower back problems. Started about probably between my freshman and sophomore year of college, and has just been one of those things where I can't really do some workouts in the gym. Like Bulgarian split squats always hurt me. RDLs always hurt me. Um, so it's just some exercises that I just had to completely avoid. Went to doctors, nothing was wrong. It's just something that I live with. And then I also have pain in my right shoulder. Doctors think it could be a slap tear on my labrum or bicep tendonitis. So had that pain probably for about 5 or 6 years now.
So, what were the types of things that you were doing to try to rehab the lower back and the shoulder? And did you always treat those injuries as separate, or did you ever think like, hey, they might be connected to one another?
I always treated them as separately because my shoulder started hurting before college and my back was during college. So for my shoulder, it became prominent my senior year of high school. I think I injured it my junior year of high school, but then COVID hit. So I got to take the rest that I needed to. And then when senior year started, I played volleyball in high school, and I think I was going up for a hit and something didn't feel right. Told my parents about it. We went to see a doctor. They thought I had the slap tear and the tendonitis, so they sent me to PT. Um, I think I did PT for probably 6-ish weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, sounds about right. Probably went 2 or 3 times a week. And it was just a lot of exercises to try to help with the inflammation. And then I did treatment after, so a massage or ice or heat, whatever. And it helped for the time being. Then I went into basketball season, so I didn't really use my arms that much. And then softball, it never bothered me pitching, so that's why I was never too concerned with it. I was like, as long as I can pitch, that's what I'm going to college for. It's fine. But throwing overhand, say the bases are what, 6 feet, 60
Yeah,
feet in
60.
softball?
Mhm.
That's bad. I don't know that.
I know
But
it.
I
60
I
feet.
was yeah, I would struggle to throw 60 feet for very long. I could do maybe 2 or 3 throws, but that was pushing it. And it got to the point um I couldn't really even throw from like shortstop to first base at one point. I had to go to second base, and even that was kind of painful. So when I finished my rehab, it was better. It was much more tolerable to throw overhand. And then actually the summer between my senior year of high school and before I started college was probably the best my shoulder had ever been, in terms of strength and pain. I was actually long tossing. Then I got to college and probably threw every single weekend. So 50 something games, I probably threw about 40 of them. Not fun, but we only had two pitchers really. So it was kind of like a suck it up moment. And I think, that pitching every weekend mixed in with, lift and throwing bullpens during the week, I think I was just a lot of wear and tear on my shoulder. And then the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I got an opportunity to play with a national team for a tournament in Spain. While I was over there is when I hurt my back pitching. And when I say hurt, like I couldn't even bend down to take my shoes off. I was just like stuck. And then I woke up the next morning and it was gone. So I don't know what happened to where I could start bending over again, but then doing those certain exercises couldn't do them. So I got back to school, told my trainers like, "Hey, this happened over the summer. And all we did really was just rehab for it. She said my core was weak. So we did exercises to really focus on my core strength and just stretching out my lower back, maybe some thoracic stuff too. But for the most part, that was it. It was just a lot more about managing the pain for the time being, just being in school. It's like can't really go to the doctor um, during season. So just more management than fixing the problem.
So between the shoulder and the low back, how many different rounds of PT have you had across these kind of 5 to 6 years that we're talking about?
Um, like formal PT for my shoulder, I've done twice, and then I've never done formal PT for my back,
Okay.
just like with my trainer.
So when we started working together, what was kind of the different approach that you saw to how I was trying to attack the problem with you versus the way that you had been attacking it in the past?
Yeah. I would say, I come to you with my shoulder problem and immediately it's like, oh, your pelvic tilt is off. I was like, what? So I feel like a lot of my PTs were more about, like I said, pain management and just, oh, she has tendonitis, so we need to strengthen her scap muscles, right? But like you were explaining to me one time, okay, your scap muscles are acting up because everything below it is acting up, like just a chain reaction. So I like that we didn't just tackle pain managing the problem. Or I guess the symptoms, we were trying to attack the initial like disease, if you will.
No, absolutely. So for you, what kind of started to change first within your body? The lower back discomfort that you were experiencing or the shoulder?
The lower back discomfort for sure. I was never able to like sit in a chair for very long without having to get up every 5 minutes, or even like an hour-long meeting, Zoom call, I would get up feeling like, wow, I was sitting for way too long, and it was just an hour. Um, but then I've noticed like that my sales calls that I take, I can take like 2 or 3 calls at a time without getting up, and then I still feel fine. Not like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go run a marathon, fine, but definitely not the pain that I was experiencing for sure.
So one of the things that you said about the low back is like a really common thing that most people experience within PT is if you have lower back pain, you kind of get labeled with you have a weak core.
Hmm.
So like we definitely have done some core work together, but that
Yep.
wasn't the main way that we went about attacking the lower back.
Hmm.
So how do you feel like working on the position of the pelvis and the lower spine vertebrae? Like how
Yeah.
do you feel like that really led to the change that you were experiencing?
Yeah. I would say, my back is arched way too much in the lower part. So I think straightening that, you know, really just took some pressure off my spine. And I even feel it like in my upper back as well, of just everything feels more spread apart and not smashed on one another. So like when I'm sitting for long periods of times, I feel like my spine is just smushing on itself. And then now it's like doesn't feel like it's being smushed anymore.
Mhm. So, moving a little bit more specifically to the shoulder, how did we attack the shoulder differently than the ways that you had been attacking it prior?
I would say a lot of my PT was almost painful. Just some of the drills they had me do, drills, some of the exercises. But and then if I would tell them it would hurt, they're like, okay, good, that's good. Like that means it's working. I'm like, I dreaded going to PT because like my shoulder's in so much pain right now. And it never actually felt like it was getting better. It felt like I was just irritating the crap out of it and they were just treating the irritations. So I feel like with us, it started out as a lot more stretching, if you will, and just figuring out you guys call it like a hunchback, right?
Yeah, kind of
Pitchers
that
when
like
they get it.
slouched upper back
Yeah.
position.
So I feel like we did a lot more stretching to pull my shoulders back. And then now we're working more on keeping it back. So that's what I like because it doesn't it's not painful at all. And I actually feel the stretches or the exercises where I'm supposed to.
Perfect. So I know we haven't necessarily like talked a whole lot about your mechanics because in no way, shape, or form will I get
Yeah.
try to tell a softball player how to pitch.
Yeah.
But how, if at all, how do you feel like your mechanics have kind of changed since you've
Hmm.
got a different body that you're operating on now?
Yeah. I feel like, and I've told my pitching coach this, shout out Kat Banks, but she has even commented on how much more fluid I look. My sequencing looks better. I look more effortless, if you will. And so, actually, when I met with her the first time in forever, like a few months, uh, she says, I overcompensate a lot because I'm so strong in other parts of my body that I've learned to adapt pitching the wrong way. So she's like, if you can pitch the right way and get the right sequencing, you're going to be that much stronger as a pitcher. And that's kind of what we worked on. So that fix kind of tweaking my mechanics mixed with the posture therapy had turned into like effortless pitching. Like I would finish a 45-hour bullpen feeling like I can go more and just it felt better. It felt stronger, it felt smoother. My shoulder didn't hurt, my elbow didn't hurt, my hips didn't hurt. Like I felt great.
So one of the big things that I think comes as a byproduct of what you're talking about there is almost regaining this trust of your body and
Hmm.
not thinking like, hey, I've got to guard this throw because it's going to be painful. You're able to just let
Yep.
it go. So
Yes.
how do you feel like having that kind of mental clarity has helped you on the field?
Oh, it's great because now I can throw 7 innings. I don't know if it's the same for baseball, but in softball, like you can be in great shape as like a runner, as a lifter, but pitching a full game is like a whole nother type of being in shape and conditioning. And so usually when I take time off, I have to like get back into pitching shape. And now being here in Italy, I've thrown 2 complete games already. Excuse me, 3 complete games. The first one, a little rough, but we're gonna blame it on the jet lag. But the other two, I threw over 100 pitches and I like obviously some exhaustion, but not really painful. So I take that as a win because it used to be immediately after a 7 inning game in college, I was in so much pain in my arm and immediately had to ice it and take meds. And now here it's just not painful, just tired. I'm just like, oh, I obviously can't throw another 2 hours, but I'm not begging for ice immediately after.
So for you and like kind of the progression that your season is going to go with, what are you kind of hoping to be able to do with this like kind of second year of your professional career?
Hmm. Uh, I mean, I want to play for as long as I can. So it's definitely a learning thing. I'm doing more and less at the same time. So I'm doing more than I was in college in the sense that I'm not just pitching, I'm playing in the field, which I've never had to do for a couple years. So that paired with pitching 1 game every weekend, throwing some bullpens during the week. I guess my goal is just learning how to take care of my body again in different aspects. And not even just pitching pain free, but just being able to play pain free.
Well, if there was somebody who's kind of on the fence about, hey, like I've gone through all of these injuries, I've tried a bunch of different things and it just hasn't worked for me yet,
Mhm.
what would you say to that person about how posture might be able to help them?
I would say give it a shot because if you've done everything with PT, formal, informal PT with your trainers, stretches, at home exercises, like, and it's just still not working, maybe, like we said earlier, maybe you're not attacking the disease, you're just treating the symptoms and just more pain managing than fixing the pain. And me, I feel so much better now that I've treated the root causes of my pain and I'm not just slapping ice on whenever my arm hurts and saying, okay, yep, I feel better. I'm playing pain free, but it's gonna hurt again the next time. So, yeah, I would say posture definitely opened my eyes a little bit in terms of like I never knew that because my pelvis is tilted a certain way, it sets off this chain reaction all the way up to my shoulder. Would have never guessed that. And since treating that, it has helped my shoulder tremendously.
Well, that's awesome. So I've got one
Thanks.
more for you. How how has your warm-up routine changed since you've started doing posture? Like, has it shortened at all? Have you changed anything else that you're doing in the way that you get your body ready to go out and compete?
Yeah. My actual pitching routine is pretty much the same. But my warm up to get ready to throw is different. It's so I get to the field earlier now, or I try to. Italy, we have to get picked up or we walk. So whenever I get to the field. But I don't do like my whole posture routine. I do the ones that I know are gonna warm me up the right way. So I'll do the cats and dogs. And then I do a couple stuff for my shoulders, some stretches, some I call them open books to help with
Mhm.
my T-spine, and then I come around, those help. And a lot of J-band work, a lot of stretching, just like my chest area. Um, so I would say it is a little bit longer, but it feels more intentional behind it. So I know like, okay, I'm really trying to stretch out my lower back and then warm up everything around my lower back. And then I'm really trying to stretch out my shoulder and everything around my shoulder. So a mix of stretches and dynamics just to get it ready. And I think that has made a big difference in how long I'm able to last in a game, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. Well, Kat, I appreciate you sitting down and
Yeah,
sharing your story with me. And if there's
thanks.
anything that I can do for you in the future, just let me know.
Thank you so much.